Hello traders, welcome back. Michael Harding here from the Academy of Financial Markets. In this lecture, I'll show you why you might want to use multiple profiles and multiple templates. Now, what you're looking at right now is a default profile. And what I mean by that is if we go over to File and then click on Profiles and then click on British Pound, we see that the charts are now different. So we have this is the British Pound versus the US dollar on multiple time frames. So here we have the daily, the 30-minute, the 4-hour, and the 1-hour. But this profile, we might consider having British pound crosses. So we might include pound Swiss franc, and we might include pound Japanese yen, and so on. Okay, so I'll just switch back over to the default profile, and this is the profile that we were originally looking at. Now, you might want to have your default profile set up that includes all of the major pairs that you mostly trade. For example, if you find you're trading Euro CAD, New Zealand USD, CAD Yen, USD Yen, you might want to include all of these charts on your screen, and then you can go ahead and just hit this button to arrange the charts. The advantage of having it set up this way allows you to spot trends and patterns that are starting to present themselves with trading opportunities. For example, if we're starting to look at USD Yen and we're noticing that it was having a difficult time breaking above the 114 handle, and we are starting to see some bearish momentum starting to accelerate towards the downside, we might consider switching from the default profile over to a USD Yen profile. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and create a USD Yen profile, and I'll start by clicking on the British Pound, and I'll just close these down here, and I'll just load USD Yen. What I'm doing here is loading USD Yen multiple times because I want to look at USD Yen on multiple time frames. So in the top left, I'll have it set for a 5-minute time frame. Next to it, I'll have a 15. Then I'll look at it in a 1 hour, and then I'll also look at it on a daily. The reason I want to look at it on a daily is because the daily is the pattern and the time frame that gives me the overall feel for what's happening with the particular pair. Looking at this pair on a smaller time frame, we might be missing out on the big picture, which might also give us more risk exposure. For example, if we're looking at USD Yen on the 5-minute and we're noticing that we're starting to see some bearish momentum accelerating to the downside, but on the larger scale, the trend is actually pointing more in an upwards pattern formation. So getting into a short position with USD Yen might not be the best trading decision, only because our downside target might be limited. Now let's switch back over to our default profile. Because also on our default profile, we also would like to set up multiple templates. For example, if we're taking a look at New Zealand USD on a 5-minute, and say we were to draw in this trend line on New Zealand USD, after noticing the recent upswing with this particular pair, we might consider switching over to our New Zealand USD profile. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and switch back over to the British Pound, and this time what I'll do is I'll go ahead and save this as New Zealand USD, and then I'll just switch over all of these charts to New Zealand USD pairs. Just like that. Now the problem is that we spotted that rising trend on our default profile, and we drew in this nice trend line. However, the trend line was not able to transition over to our profiles page. So for that to happen, what you need to do is right click and save this as a new template. And this time you'll save it as the New Zealand USD template. So then that way, when we go over to our New Zealand USD profile, I can load up our New Zealand USD template. And that will give us our nice trend line that we drew in. And this way we're also able to see that trend line on multiple time frames. So then that way it will give us a better perspective of what's happening overall. So that's it for this lecture. That sums up templates and profiles. In the next lecture, I'll show you some tips, tricks, and some keyboard shortcuts.